Hello friends, welcome to Learner's Planet. Friends, this is our fifth session for ratio, proportion and variation. Friends, I hope you might have revised all the previous sessions and definitely you are having your paper and pen with you. Okay, so let's begin this session. Now let's see this question. 10 men working 6 hours a day can complete a work in 18 days. How many hours a day must 15 men work to complete the same work in 12 days? Let's write the data over here. Men, days and hours. 10 men 6 hours a day can complete a work in 18 days. How many hours a day, that is, let it be x, must 15 men work to complete the same work in 12 days? Okay. Now what is the unknown quantity over here? It is hours. So we put hours on left hand side. Now we have to see the relationship of the other variables with hours. Now men and hours. What is the relationship between men and hours? Is it direct or inverse? Friends, if the work is fixed, if more men are there, less hours will be required, isn't it? So definitely the relationship between men and hour is inverse. Okay. So if I write 6 by x in this order, I should write 10 by 15 in reverse order. That is 15 by 10, since the relationship between men and hours is inverse. Okay. Now we have to see the relationship between days and hours. Now to do any particular work, if more days are there, less hours will be required. That means even days and hours are in inverse variation. Okay, so write it like this. Okay, it is 6 by x. I'll be writing, instead of 18 by 12, I'll be writing 12 by 18, since days and hours are also in inverse variation. Okay, now let's solve it for x. So x will be 6. Okay, that means 6 hours are required. I hope you are clear. Now let's see this problem. Laborers, hours and days. Okay, laborers, hours and days. Now 30 laborers working 7 hours a day can finish a work in 18 days. If the laborers work 6 hours a day, then the number of laborers, that is x, to finish the same piece of work in 30 days will be. Okay. So here the unknown quantity is number of persons. So let it be at the left hand side. Now what is the relationship between these two, that is number of workers and hours? Friends, if the work is constant or the work is same, that means if the number of laborers are increased, number of hours will be reduced. That means we can say if more number of laborers are there, we need less number of hours. Definitely laborers and hours will be in inverse relationship, or we can say there will be an inverse variation between these two. Okay, so if I write 30 by x, I would write 6 by 7. Okay, so this is in this order, this is in this order. Now what is the relationship between laborers and days? Definitely if more laborers are there, less number of days will be required. So further the relationship is inverse. Okay, so it's like this. Okay, just solve it for x. So x is equal to 21 persons. Okay, I hope you are clear. Now let's see this problem. If 12 carpenters working 6 hours a day can make 460 chairs in 24 days. Carpenters, hours, chairs and days. Okay, so 12 carpenters, 6 hours per day, 460 chairs in 24 days. how many chairs, let it be X, 18 carpenters will make in 36 days, each working hour 8 per day. Okay, now friends, here we are having four variables. Now once again, the unknown quantity, let it be at left hand side, so it's 460 by X. Now let's compare chairs by each variable, chairs with each variable. Friends, what will be the relationship between carpenters and chairs? Friends, if more chairs are to be made, more number of persons will be required. That means the relationship will be direct. Okay. So it is 460 by X, that means I'll be writing 12 by 18. Okay. Now once again, if more chairs are to be made, then more number of hours will be required. So further direct relationship. Now once again, if more number of chairs are to be made, more days will be required. So further direct relationship. Okay, now just have to solve it for X. Okay, you can solve it. You'll be getting the answer as it will be 230 into 6, that is 1380. Okay, so this is the correct answer. Now let's see this problem. 400 persons hours work and days. Okay, now 400 persons while working 9 hours per day can complete 1/4 of the work in 10 days. The number of additional persons, maybe we take the total number of persons as X, working 8 hours per day, required to complete the remaining work. 1/4 work is already done, that's mean remaining work is 3/4 and in 20 days. Okay, now we have to find out the number of persons, so let it be at left hand side. Now what is the relationship between persons and hours? Definitely it will be inverse relationship. That means both of them will be in inverse variation. If more persons are there, less number of hours will be required. So if it is 400 by X, it will be 8 by 9. Okay. Now what is the relationship between persons and work? It will be direct. If more work is there, more persons are required. So it is 1 by 3, since 4 and 4 will get cancelled. Okay, then person and days, definitely it will be an inverse relationship. See, if more persons are there, less number of days will be required. Okay, so it will be 20 by 10. Okay, I hope you are clear. Just solve it for X. So X will be getting 25 into 27, that is 675. Okay, so already 400 persons were there. That means we have to hire 275 more persons. Okay friends, the number of additional persons have been asked. If you do not concentrate on this, you can mark 675 also, which is also over there. So just be careful about marking the answer. I hope you are clear with the concept. Let's see this problem. In a camp, 95 men had provisions for 200 days. After 5 days, 30 men left the camp. For how many days will the remaining food last now? Now, friends, the food is available for 95 men for 200 days. That means the food is sufficient for 200 days. So after 5 days, the food will be sufficient for 195 days, since for 5 days this 95 persons must be taking their food. Okay, so after 5 days, the food is sufficient for 195 days. Okay, and the food is sufficient for 95 men. Okay, now 30 persons are leaving the camp. That means the remaining number of persons is 65. Now we have to find the number of days. Okay, now we have to see the relationship. If more people are there, then the food will be sufficient for less number of days. Okay, so it's an inverse relationship. So 95 by 65 is equal to x upon 195. Okay, it's 13.5, 13.1, 13.5. Okay, so x is equal to 95 into 3, that is 285 days. Okay, I hope you are clear. Now in this problem, a garrison of 500 men had provision for 27 days. After 3 days, a reinforcement of 300 men arrived. Okay, that means initially the food was sufficient for 500 men for 27 days. Now these 500 people must be taking food for 3 days. So after 3 days, the food will be sufficient for 500 men for 24 days. Okay, men and days. After 3 days, the food is sufficient for 500 men for 24 days. Now, 300 more people have come. So now 800 people are there. Now we have to find out the number of days the food will be sufficient. So let it be X. Definitely, both of them are having inverse relationship. If more men are there, the food will be sufficient for less number of days. Okay, so it's 500 by 800, or you can directly write 5 by 8 is equal to x by 24. Okay, so x is equal to 15 days. Okay, so for 800 persons, the food will be sufficient for next 15 days. Okay, I hope you are clear. Now let's see this problem. A contractor undertook to do a certain piece of work in 9 days. He employed certain number of men, but 6 of them being absent from the very first day. The rest could finish the work in 15 days. The number of persons originally employed were. Now let's assume initial number of persons who were appointed is X. Okay, and they were able to finish the work in 9 days. 6 of them absent, that means X minus 6 people are only there who are working, and they are working for 15 days. Now we have to find out the relationship between men and days. If more men are there, then to finish a certain work, less number of days will be required. So it's an inverse relationship. That means x upon x minus 6 is equal to 15 by 9. Okay, so it's 3x is equal to 5x minus 30. So 2x is equal to 30, x is equal to 15. Okay, so initially 15 men were employed. Friends, there is an alternative method to do this particular problem. You can even go by options. Suppose initially there were 12 persons. Let's go one by one. Initially, suppose there were 12 persons. That means for 12 persons, the work is for 9 days. That means the work is of 12 into 9, that is 108 man days. Okay. I'm just explaining it slowly. Just listen to me carefully. 108 man days. Okay. But 6 of them absent. That means 6 people were there. Now for this 6 people, finished the work in 15 days. That means 15 into 6. They finished the work of 15 into 6, that is 90 man days. So it's actually not matching. Actually the work was of 108 man days. Okay, so it's wrong. Now let's take 15. For 15 people the work was of 9 days. That means total 135 man days are required to finish this work. That is 15 persons for 9 days. Okay, but 6 of them were absent. That means remaining persons, that is 15 minus 6, 9 persons finish this work in 15 days. That means further we are getting 135 man days work. Okay, so it matches. Okay, so if you don't want to go for any sort of paperwork, you can do by this method only. I have shown you working over here, but this working you don't have to show in your examination timings. Okay, so I hope you are clear. Now let's see this problem. Salary of A varies directly with the number of working days in the month. A gets a salary of rupees 10,000 if the number of working days in the month is 25. What salary will he get when the number of working days is 26? Is a question of common sense. 10,000 rupees he is getting for if he works for 25 days. That means his per day salary is 10,000 by 25. So it's 400. Okay, now that means he's getting 400 rupees per day. That means for 26 days he'll be getting 26 into 400. That is okay. I hope you are clear. So 10,400 is the correct answer. Okay, now let's see this problem. Quantities x and y are inversely proportional. When x is equal to 9, then y. Now let's see this problem. Quantities x and y are inversely proportional. When x is equal to 9, y is equal to 30. X and y. When x is equal to 9, y is equal to 30. We have to find out the value of y. Okay. When x is equal to 6. Okay. That means, friends, we have been given that x and y are in inverse proportion. So if x is like this, y will be inverse of that. So I write 9 by 6, that is equal to, I'll write order reverse order over here, 6 5. That means y will be 95. I'm sorry, 45. That is 9 into 5. Okay, I hope you are clear. Now let's see this problem. There are two variables x and y where x varies directly as cube root of y. When y is equal to 8, x is equal to 2. Find x when y is equal to 216. X varies directly as the cube root of y, and when y is equal to 8, x is equal to 2. That means when y is equal to 216, x will be cube root of 216, that is 6. It's very simple. Now let's see this question. The volume of a cube varies directly with the cube of its side. If three cubes of side 6 cm, 8 cm and 10 cm are taken together and melted to form a fourth cube, find the side of the fourth cube. That means the volume of the fourth cube will be 6 cube plus 8 cube plus 10 cube. That is 216 plus 512 plus 1000. Okay, so that is 1728. That means the volume of the fourth cube will be 1728 centimeter cube. That means its side will be cube root of this. Side will be cube root of volume. Okay, as it is given over here, the volume of cube varies directly with the cube of its side. Okay, so side will be cube root of volume, that is cube root of 1728, that is 12 centimeter. Okay, now let's see this problem. A quantity x varies inversely as the product of y and z. That means x is proportional to 1 upon y and z. Okay, that means to eliminate the sign of proportion, we need to put a constant. Okay, that means x is equal to k over y z. Now when y is equal to 7 and z is equal to 8, then x is equal to 5. First of all, friends, from these data, we just find out the value of constant. Okay. Now let's put the value. When y is equal to 7, z is equal to 8, then x is equal to 5. That means k is equal to 7 into 8 into 5, that is 8 into 5, 40 into 7, 280. Now constant will always be constant. Okay. So now let's put the value of x, y, z, of y, z and k in this equation. Okay. Now x is equal to, we have to find out. So x is equal to, value of k is 280 and y will be 4 and z is 10. So y into z will be 40. That means x is equal to 7. Okay. Now let's see this question. If heat radiated by a certain body per unit time varies directly with the square root of the excess of the temperature, okay, of the body over the ambient temperature. The heat radiated by the body in 1 second is 12 joules when the temperature of the body is 34 degrees centigrade. Okay. Now find the temperature of the body when the heat radiated in 1 second was 20 joules. Assume that ambient temperature to be 25 degrees centigrade. Friends, let's assume the temperature of body is T degrees centigrade and the heat radiated by the body in 1 second is H joules. Okay. That means H is proportional to excess temperature and the regular temperature is 25 degrees centigrade. So H is proportional to T minus 25. Okay. Here H is in joule. Okay. And T is in degree centigrade. That means to eliminate the sign of proportion, we need to put a constant. That means H is equal to K T minus 25 square root. Okay. Now, in the first equation, in the first relationship, the heat radiated by the body in 1 second is 12 joules and the temperature is 34 degrees centigrade. Now let's put the value of H and T in this equation and then we'll be getting the value of K. When H is equal to 12 K T minus 25, that is 34 minus 25 square root. That means 12 is equal to K. 34 minus 25 is 9. Square root of 9 is 3. Okay. So K is equal to 4. Okay. Now we have got the value of K. Now we have to find out the temperature of the body when the heat radiated in 1 second was 20 joules. Now we have been given the value of H. We are having the value of K and we have to find the value of T. Okay. Now let's put the value of H and K in this equation. H is equal to 20, K is 4 and we have to find out T. Okay, that means T minus 25 square root is equal to 5. That means, just a moment, square root of T minus 25 is equal to 20 by 4, that is 5. That means minus 25 is equal to 25. That means T is equal to 50 degree centigrade. Okay. I hope you are clear. Now let's see this question. A stone is dropped from a height of 1 kilometer. The distance it falls through varies directly with the square of time taken to fall through that distance. If it travels 64 meters in 4 seconds, we have to find out the distance it covers in 5th second. Friends, let's assume the distance traveled by the body is d meter in t seconds, and we have been given the distance varies directly with the square of the time taken. That means d is proportional to t square. To remove the sign of proportionality, we need to put a constant. That means d is equal to kt square. Okay. Now we have been given that when the d is, that is the distance is 64 meter, the time is 4 seconds. So let's find out the value of this constant. So 64 is equal to k into t square, that is 16. So k is equal to 4. Okay. Now we have to find out the distance that the body is covering and that the stone is covering in fifth second. Okay. Now let's put the value over here. D is equal to 4 into 5 square. Okay. So it is 25 into 4, 100 meters. Now friends, this distance is actually the distance covered by a stone in 5 seconds. Okay. And we have been given the distance covered by the stone till 4 seconds is 64 meter. That means in fifth second it might have covered the distance of 100 minus 64. I hope you are getting it. So 100 minus 64, that is 36 meter. Okay. I hope you are clear. So it will be 36 meter. Okay friends, we should be very clear that we have been asked about the distance covered in fifth second, not the distance covered till fifth second. Okay, so we just have to find out the distance up to fifth second, then we have to subtract the distance covered till fourth second. I hope you are clear. Now let's see this question, a very big story. Vinay and Ravi using cell phone services under a particular schemes in which the bill depends on the number of outgoing calls made and number of incoming calls received. For every outgoing call, the charges is rupees 2.5, that is 2 rupees 50 paisa, and for every incoming call received, the charges is rupees 1 in a particular month. Number of calls received by Vinay was 10 more than that of Ravi. Okay. Now let's see the question. If the number of outgoing calls made by Ravi was 70 and the total number of calls, that is incoming calls received and outgoing calls made for Ravi was 150, we have to find out the bill for Ravi. Okay. Now friends, the number of outgoing calls made by Ravi was 70 and the total number of calls for Ravi was 150. That means these are outgoing calls. That means out of 150, 70 are outgoing. That means 80 are incoming. Okay. So what will be his bill? It's 70 calls outgoing, that is at the rate of rupees 2.5, plus 80 calls incoming for rupees 1 per call. This is the total bill for Ravi. Okay. So that we can calculate. That will be rupees 255. Okay friends, I hope you are clear. It's a very simple problem. Definitely it's a big story over there, but the problem is actually very simple. Now let's see the second part of this particular problem. Now, if Vinay received a bill of rupees 250 and the number of calls received by Ravi is 60, then what is the total number of calls, that is incoming and outgoing, for Vinay and Ravi together if the number of calls made by Ravi is 20 more than that of Vinay? Friends, the number of calls received by Ravi is 60. That means the number of calls received by Vinay will be this 60 plus this 10. Since we have been given that number of calls received by Vinay was 10 more than that of Ravi. Okay. That means total number of calls received by Vinay is 60 plus 10, 70. Okay. Just a moment. Total number of calls received by Vinay is 70. Okay. Now Vinay's total bill is rupees 250 for that particular month. That means this 250 rupees is equal to his total incoming bill, that means incoming call bill and outgoing call bill. And the total number of incoming calls are 70. So each call will be for 1 rupees. Okay. Now we have to find out the amount of outgoing calls. Okay, per outgoing call is rupees 2.5 into, suppose he has made x calls. Okay, now we have to calculate the value of x. So it is 250 minus 70, that is 180 by 2.5 is equal to x. Okay, so x is 72 calls. That means in all Vinay has made 72 outgoing calls. Okay. Now we have to calculate the bill of Ravi. Now we have been given that Ravi has made 20 more calls than Vinay. If Vinay has made 72 calls, that means Ravi might have made 72 plus 20, that is 92 outgoing calls. So for each call, 92 into rupees 2.5 plus, just a moment. Friends, we don't have to calculate the bill, we just have to calculate the total number of calls for Vinay and Ravi together. Okay, that means the total number of outgoing calls made by Ravi is 72 plus 20, that is 92. Okay, and the total number of calls by Vinay we have already calculated. That means the total number of calls will be 70 plus 72 plus 60 plus 92. That is, just a moment, number of calls received by Ravi is 60. Okay, that is 60, that is incoming calls. 92 are outgoing calls by Ravi. 70 is incoming by Vinay and 72 is outgoing by Vinay. Okay, so this is the total number of calls received and outgoing. Okay, so it is 294. I hope you are clear. Definitely we have to understand lots of data over here, then also the problem is really easy. Okay, now let's see this question. A truck rental agency has the following terms. If a truck is rented for 8 hours or less, the charges is rupees 100 per hour or rupees 8 per kilometer, whichever is more. On the other hand, if the truck is rented for more than 8 hours, the charges is rupees 80 per hour or rupees 6 per kilometer, whichever is more. The company rented a truck from the agency and used it for 120 kilometer and paid rupees 800. For how many hours did the company rent the truck? Now let's assume the truck is rented for 8 hours or less. Okay, so if the truck is used for 8 hours or less and the company has paid the bill of 800, that means less than equal to 8 hours, and company has paid the bill of rupees 800 at the rate rupees 100 per hour, that means it is 8 hours. Okay, now but if the charges are rupees 8 per kilometer, okay, the company has run the truck for 120 kilometer. So 120 kilometer at the rate of 8 per kilometer will be 960 rupees, but the company has paid rupees 800 only. Okay, and we have been given that the company has to pay the more amount. Okay, that means this assumption is wrong. That means the company has rented the truck for more than 8 hours. Okay, just a moment. Now if company has rented the truck for more than 8 hours, that means the per hour charge will be rupees 80 per hour. The company has paid rupees 800, that means 800 by 80. The company has run the truck for 10 hours. Okay, and the charges are rupees 120 for 120 kilometer it is rupees 6 per kilometer. Okay, that means 120 into 6 is equal to 720 rupees has to be paid. Okay, but the company has paid rupees 800, that is between these two terms, that is rupees 800 and rupees 720. 800 is more and the company has to pay the more amount between these two, that is 80 per hour or rupees 6 per kilometer, whichever is more. Okay, so that means the company rent the truck for 10 hours. Okay, I hope you are clear. Now, in this question, the kinetic energy of a moving body varies directly with its mass and when the velocity is constant, and the kinetic energy of the particular body varies directly with the square of its velocity. A body having mass of 7.2, velocity this, and kinetic energy is this. We have to find out the kinetic energy when mass and velocity is given. Okay, let's assume the kinetic energy to be K. Now K is proportional to directly with its mass, that is, let's it be m, then varies directly with the square of its velocity, that is v square. That means K is proportional to mv square. That means K is equal to x m v square, where x is a constant. Okay, now we have to find out the value of this particular constant. Let's put the value of K, m and v square from these data. With the kinetic energy 0.144, that means is equal to x into m is 7.2 kilogram and velocity is 0.2, that means it's 0.2 whole square. Okay, so now let's calculate the value of x. It's 0.144 by 7.2 into 0.2 into 0.2. Okay, 1 2 3 3. Okay, so x is equal to 1 by 2. Okay, so we got this constant, that is K is equal to half mv square. Now we have been given the value of mass and velocity and we have to find out the kinetic energy. Just put the value of m and v in this equation and you'll be getting the value of K. Okay, so that you can calculate, I hope. Let's put the value is K is equal to half into m is 3.6 and v square is 0.8 square, that is 0.64. Okay, so it's 1.8. Now 1.8 is being multiplied by more than half, that means the answer should be greater than 1. So obviously there is a single option, 1.152, that will be the answer. Okay, I hope you are clear. Let's see this problem. The time taken by a group of workers to complete a piece of work varies directly with the amount of the work to be done by them when the number of workers is constant, and inversely as the number of workers in the group when the amount of work is constant. Friends, this is a matter of common sense and we can say a matter of experience, and we have done various problems on the same concept. So let's come straight forward to the data. 8 workers take half a day to plow 2 acres of field. Okay, 8 workers are taking half day to complete 2 acres. That means 16 workers will be taking 1/4 of the day only. If the number of workers are double, the number of the amount of time will be halved. So if 8 workers are taking half day, 16 workers will be taking 1/4 of the day to complete 2 acres of the land. That means to complete 2 acres, they are taking 1/4 of the day. That means if the area is 4 times, then the time consumed will also be 4 times. That is 4 times of 1/4 day, that is 1 day. No need to go for any sort of paperwork. You just have to crunch the data. Okay, I hope it's clear to you. Friends, we'll be doing more such problems in our next session. So by then, just revise this session and the previous sessions. Let's meet in the next session once again. Bye bye.